Grand Rising. It is Monday, December 14th. Before I get in more into depth on the material that I want to place on my page, I first wanted to do an introduction of who I am. My name is Mercedes, and it's very nice to meet all of you. Thank you for coming to my page, or channel, right? I don't even... You gotta excuse my appearance. I didn't even wash my face, and it's because my son is gonna wake up soon. I promised myself that I would get out 1 or 2 videos a week, and so I gotta do it in whatever state I'm in and when I have the time, because he gonna wake up. So the longer I take working on my appearance to give information, that's kind of silly. The information is far more important than my appearance. So, like I said, my name is Mercedes, and I first want to do something unheard of. I'm about to give y'all my chart, my birth chart. It is one of the most important things when I get into the topics that I am going to get into on my channel, because you would have to understand who I am, what my chart calls for in order for me to do the work that I've done and make the discoveries that I've made. So, I guess it's so weird. Like, you get on camera, right? Ain't nobody in the room is empty. Why am I so nervous? So, anyway, let's dig into my chart. My chart is pretty awesome, in my opinion. Starting with my moon. My moon is in the first house, the house of self. I have a higher degree of emotional and psychological awareness. My ascendant is in the first house, so I am all about growth and fulfilling life's purpose. And this sign is in Cancer, so my life's purpose and myself, I have home, family connection, and I'm very deeply emotional about those things. Next, Pluto is in the 5th house. I am overprotecting of loved ones and children. The sign is in Scorpio. That has an image of eye that is very sharp and emotional. And as we go down into my chart, you'll see that emotional is very serious for me. So far, that is 2 feminine signs, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. And I would imagine that Pluto, the moon, and my ascendant have a very interesting angle. I would assume, actually no, they do or not, but these angles, how they work together, is really interesting. So that's already 2 that state that I have a higher degree of emotional and psychological awareness, and that I have a image of I that is sharp and emotional. So that's 2. Speaking on my self-awareness. So we next have Uranus in the 6th house. I can experience sudden transformative events related to their health and well-being. Related to my health. Sorry, that's how I wrote it, because I was plagiarizing. But it is true. It's very true. And I have unusual eating habits and hygiene habits. Saturn in the 6th house is a struggle for a daily life that feels sane. Both Uranus and Saturn are in the sign of Scorpio, so I am extremely obsessive about a sane life. I am extremely obsessive about my eating habits and my hygiene habits. I am extremely excessive whenever I experience a sudden transformative event. It'll stick with me for a really long time. So then I also have Neptune in the 7th house, and I cherish and idealize my loved ones, and the sign is in Capricorn, so it is extremely excessive and obsessive. It's extreme. Some people that I love think I'm overbearing, and I might be just a little bit, and that we would consider that a negative trait, right? So that is 3 signs in feminine energy. So now we have Mars located in the 8th house. I'm deeply interested in knowing myself. I am dedicated to transforming over and over until the layers of pain, trauma, and suffering are gone. By essence, drawn to psychoanalysis and drawn to facing my own shadow. This sign is in Aquarius, and this house, Aquarius is in Mars. There we go. That's how it goes. So I have an amazing view on life, and I want to discover its mysteries. So with that is actually a masculine sign there in Aquarius, but this is now yet another, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, talking about psychoanalysis, talking about knowledge of self. Sounds like a trend, sounds like something, I don't know, it sounds like something. So the sun is in the 11th house. This is gonna display idealism, innovative approach, problems when over-identified in a group. I've experienced a lot of that lately. I have a need to lead others to a shared goal. Here's when it's like, okay, what is that shared goal? You take it back to Saturn in the 6th house, and it is the struggle for a daily life that feels sane. That would be the shared goal that I am trying to lead others to. So Mercury in the 11th house, I hate when things are unbalanced. I look to right wrongs, and because of this, it leads to thinking outside of the box and thinking of the future. Jupiter in the 11th house also, by the way, that's a stellium. Jupiter in the 11th house are people who seek connections with a wide range of people, enthusiastic with plans of growth for large community. The sign is in Taurus. The importance of a social life is where, that's probably the most important thing that comes out of Taurus being in the 11th house 3 times with the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter. Overall, it's the importance of having a social life, and if I am psychoanalyzing myself, if I am psychoanalyzing and trying to lead others, then I would likely find an issue in why I can't have a better social life, or why you can't, because we are all seemingly experiencing some similar things here. So last is Venus in 12th house, the house of suffering. I have a tendency to hide my relationships and my feelings. And something that's very important is that this was in Gemini. It says Gemini ended a past life with the desire to speak my mind. And also my ties, my connections, my relationships. I have strange friendships and relationship with children. That takes me back to Pluto in the 5th house. That takes me back to Taurus in the 11th house. That takes me back to Neptune in the 7th house. You see, these are all needed. See, because in order to do psychoanalysis, in order to be identified in a group, I have to make friends with different types of people to understand. So anyway, so now we'll move on to some of the major aspects that are in my chart. I literally have them all. I have Grand Trine in water at 2 stelliums in earth. I have a T-square, I have a yod, I have a mystic rectangle, kite, grand sextile. And there's one more that I always forget to write down. Your shapes that are created in my chart are a pentagram, which is a sign of an occult, Star of David, which is a divine feminine, a heptagram, which is the goddess and invoking the truth of God. Excuse me. I have an enneagram, and I also have a tree of life. So I'm ultra feminine. I only have 2. If you were paying attention, Aquarius and Gemini are the only masculine signs that I have in my chart, and they're in some really interesting places. Because I do not have any fire in my chart, so to have a masculine sign in Mars. I know a lot of people have seen me go off or get really upset. One, it took me a really long time to get there. 2, that is the Aquarius and Mars and my anger and my aggression. That's actually where it comes from. It doesn't come from any of my feminine signs. It comes from Mars and Aquarius being there. That's the only little bit of fire I got. And it's not even real fire. The planet is fiery, but the sign itself is there still. So I already mentioned that I have stelliums, but just to reiterate, it is Cap in Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Taurus in the 11th house for Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter. And the reason that is important for everyone to know is because it makes me actually really extremely grounded. So back to me saying, like, you guys have seen me upset, it takes a lot. I am able to rationalize pretty much anything and everything, and if I'm going off on you, it was called for. So and I mean that in a, like, I'm cussing you out. You'll see me have long drawn out comments and stuff like that. It doesn't mean I'm upset. I'm really long-winded. I'm really long-winded because there's so much, you know. Some other things that are interesting in my chart, Chiron is rising. It represents the deepest wound, and it's called Wounded Healer. Areas of my life will naturally be more difficult. I will struggle with self-worth, but I will rise above these feelings of inadequacy, and there's a shyness about being seen, which is primarily why I've had this information for several months, and I never wanted to ever be seen. As I just stated in my previous video, I've been subjected to different types of stalking. So that also has an effect on my shyness, because I've been so seen. I don't want to be seen. I don't want anybody to see me. But in order to, I gotta be seen now. There's some things I learned that are for everyone, and I can't just sit on it. So, I just mentioned this. The inner planets do not fall in a fire sign. I do not have any fire. I am earth, air, and water. So I rely solely on my inner fire. And God forbid that flame goes out. And best believe it can be dwindling. It can be really hard to keep pushing yourself forward, especially when that's just not an aspect that you are. So, the fixed mode is dominant among other planets. I'm very, very sure of myself. Mostly. I have insecurities like anyone else. I'm just the first to admit it, Kanye. You know. We all subconscious. That's what it was. Man, Kanye. Anyway. I am very sure of myself, but there's moments in which insecurity arises. I have 14 trines, 1 grand trine, dominating water. I am a dominating sign in Chinese and Western astrology. I am a Taurus and a dragon. I was born on a crescent moon. So I'm the embodiment of strength and perseverance, leads to growth in life, and I am more adverse to taking risk. I'm kind of this one as a result of my lifestyle. I've actually experienced quite a bit of risk. I have. One day you'll know. I'm definitely a thrill-seeking individual, and what happens is that chasing thrill gets you into risky things. So that's probably like the only thing I don't agree with in my chart. And lastly, I forget. Damn it. It was right there. And as I started laughing, I forgot. My chart is in a seesaw. So I have natural bipolarity and seduction. Well, everybody reads Silently Seduced by Kenneth Adams. A plug for a stranger, but he really discovered something phenomenal, and what the majority of my content will be about on this channel. So, success produces sophistication, polish, and a demeanor of a person who is able to deal with most of life's situations. So I've gone through a lot here. My story will be told, because it's always one of those things where you look and you're watching the news and you see something happen that happened to you, and you did not die. That happened to you and you did not kill yourself. That happened to you and you still have all your limbs. That happened to you and you made it. I have experienced a lot of that. A lot of it. And so lets me know I'm supposed to be here, and what I'm supposed to be here for is to assist and start the spiritual paradigm, and that actually starts within the mind. The heart, your spirit, you'd be like, I am in love with that man. I love him so much. But your mind will tell you, no, don't call him. Don't call him at all. And your body follows. So, then you don't call, right? Everything that we are experiencing is not of a spiritual manifest originally. It is of a mental manifest that binds the spirit and does not allow you to follow the spirit. The spirit should actually be the thing leading you, but it's not. One, a lot of you are dealing with your spiritual issues and not addressing your mind at all. You continue to think that dealing with your spirit will elevate everything else, and each one is its own individual aspect of yourself. So they're not in alignment, you know? So how does one get to this lack of alignment? Well, we'll get into that. But this is just my introduction and where I plan to go with what I've learned about myself and how that relates to society, almost the entire world. It's a phenomenon, but I know I'm not wrong, because my entire purpose is to suffer so that I understand it and can bring you guys into a little bit of sanity. And I'll tell you, the first thing that I would say about us and what our daily goal is to reach perfection. And so I'll leave you with my quote, which actually is loosely based off the Bible, to be honest with you, but, perfect is the one who accepts their flaws with poise. And that would be my first comment about how to reach sanity. Until next time. Oh, today is the new moon, and it's in Capricorn, everyone. Have a good one.